Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing this morning? Today, I'm going to read out of the book of Psalms, Psalm 91. I know a lot of people are struggling right now about this virus and about why God's allowing this virus and where this virus is coming from. All diseases come from demonic powers. This is a power of the devil that he has brought pestilence towards us. And God has allowed it because we've fallen away from him as a world, as a country. And you see it many times in the Bible where God punishes people that forsake him, people that are not followers of him. He punishes them. And basically, he's not punishing you to be ugly. He's putting this in a way so that maybe we can be awakened from our sin and drawn closer to him and away from Satan and away from the stronghold of Satan. God is a very sovereign and just God. He knows that if you die and you don't accept him, he has to condemn you to hell for the rest of your eternity. I mean, he can't just say, oh, well, I forgive you now. You know, it has to be while you're alive. You have to serve him. You have to accept him into your life. And if you don't, he has to condemn you. I mean, that's just how it works. And he would rather, I'm going to be honest with you, he would rather send a disease or allow Satan, I say sin, but I allow Satan to send a disease to us and to let it overcome us in order to awaken the people that he can get to awaken out of their sin and turn from their ways, their wicked ways. He will. But this, as believers, this Psalm 91 is a promise that he has given us. And I'm sure, I think most of the Psalms was written by David, but I don't know. I think this one may be written by Moses. Psalm 90 was written by Moses. It was a prayer of Moses, the man of God. And this one doesn't really say who it's written by, so I'm just assuming that it's by Moses. But anyway, the Psalm 91 reads like this. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his feathers, under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. Now listen to this. This is going on right now. This verse 7 says, 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. It's talking about a plague, which is what we're going through right now with this coronavirus. You will only observe with your eyes and see punishment of the wicked, which is basically saying, this plague is allowed to punish the wicked so that they may turn away from their wicked ways. And as a follower, we have a promise from God right here in the first 8 verses that we will only observe, that it will not come near us, even though thousands may fall at our side and 10,000s at our right hand. It will not be able to touch us because we have God's protection. If you say the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra, you will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him in honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Then I got one more passage to read. And just a second. The next one I'm going to read is Psalm 132. It says, Lord, remember David and all his self-denial. He swore an oath to the Lord. He made a vow to the mighty one of Jacob. I will not enter my house or go to my bed. I will allow no sleep to my eyes or slumber to my eyelids, till I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling for the mighty one of Jacob. We heard it in Ephrath. We came upon it in the fields of Jaar. Let us go to the dwelling place. Let us worship at his footstool, saying, Arise, Lord, and come to your resting place, you and the ark of your might. You may your priests be clothed with your righteousness. May your faithful people sing for joy. For the sake of your servant David, do not reject your anointed one. The Lord swore an oath to David, a sure oath he will not revoke. One of your own descendants I will place on your throne. If your sons keep my covenant and statutes I teach them, then their sons will sit on your throne forever and ever. For the Lord has chosen Zion, he has desired it for his dwelling. Saying, This is my resting place forever and ever. Here I will sit enthroned, for I have desired it. I will bless her with abundant provisions. Her poor I will satisfy with food. I will clothe her priests with salvation, and her faithful people will ever sing for joy. Here I will make a horn grow for David, and set up a lamp for my anointed one. I will clothe his enemies with shame, but his head will be adorned with a radiant crown. Okay, and this goes along with what we're reading, and it talks about the battlefield. It says, Kingdom reality number 6, you may not be able to see the spiritual forces clashing, but they're there. You live in the battlefield. God is out to advance his kingdom, and Satan will try to stop it at any cost. An example, the coronavirus. When we believe and receive what Jesus did for us on the cross, we're not just forgiven and set free from the curse of sin, we transfer kingdoms. God has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. That's in Colossians 1:13. All around us, there's a battle going on between two kingdoms. Satan and his fallen angels have lost the war, but if they can keep people from seeing God's goodness and freedom Jesus offers, they win individual battles over individual lives. So they continue to fighting to keep people from accepting the freedom offered through Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. Satan fights believers too, but he fights from the outside, as Jesus' followers were not members of Satan's kingdom anymore, but the powers of darkness will do anything to keep us living as if we're enslaved. They sneakily feed us lies that contain just enough truth to be believable. You're not really forgiven, it's all a myth. They woo us with apathy. There's not a spiritual battle going on here. It's just a bunch of baloney. Just have a good time. They tempt us to sin, and then they celebrate at the death it brings into our lives. They try to put a distance between us and God. God doesn't love you. They whisper, they twist heartbreak, pain, loss, and hard times into evidence that God has abandoned us. The enemy does whatever it takes to make us live as if we're not members of God's kingdom, as if God isn't with us always, as if God's kingdom isn't a reality, as if our future doesn't include living in a redeemed world with God forever. You live in a battle. That is your reality. It is going on today. Be aware. You will lose ground by being oblivious. Refuse to let that happen. And it says to go further, to memorize Ephesians 6:12. And I'm going to turn there now and let's read it. It'll go right along with what we've already read. Give me just a second. Okay, here we go right now. Okay. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, and against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. And 13 goes on to say, therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. So today, I just wanted to kind of bring you the word that's in the Bible about that can give you a little peace with this whole thing going on. And I hope this is helpful to some of you, and I hope that for some of you who don't know Jesus, can come to know Jesus. If you need prayer, private message me, send me a comment on this video. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you might have. And just God bless y'all, and I'll be praying for every one of you.